Last week, the demos, some issues, PRs, status, and I did too much status last week. I won't do the mistake again. It's not this week. We are just first. Demos. We have demos. No demos. So sad. Okay. Status all true 1. I missed the triage on Thursday. I didn't intend to miss the triage on Thursday. I forgot about the triage on Thursday. And when I thought about it, it was Friday. And I was recovering from sickness. So do not attend the triage in the road. Orchard 1. What do we have? It was 25. We have this one. Implements to scale filter, event image declaration, new filter, or whatever we are using for image processing, maybe image sharp, still Orchard 1. Scale filter. That's good. Do we have that in Orchard Core? We have that. Yes, that columns. Node quality format color background color. Background color is the black color. Node alignment. Node don't have alignment. There is no scale. Interesting. It would be nice to see. We have the same issue here. That's it for Orchard 1. Orchard Core 20 feet. This one, I need new contributors, update and keyboards, IdentityWeb updated. Microsoft.Identity.Web 2.21. Yeah, that's the latest. So I was in the link because exactly latest, but doesn't matter because yeah, I was looking at some other identity libraries from Microsoft and the version was much higher. So I'll use OSP. Updates, rename IP address to IP address, probably because of the comments we made last week. The class IP address class in the .NET is proper case. Do not change the tenant state while importing partial recipe. Okay. We trust you. Here, ActionContext in BackgroundJob. Oh. Okay. So this probably impacts UI rendering. Or at least this should be empty because it's a background task, so there is no current action. However, ideally, this shouldn't be, there shouldn't be a direct dependency between the background job and that, because there might be other things that need to be clear before the background job is executed. So there should be a different component that integrates that and actions. And probably be part of the MVC for your project. Otherwise, you want to have way more things in this thing. Should be injected instead, I think. Change ID and document ID from integer to long. Obviously, a huge breaking change. Simple to fix, but something that will impact modules. I should mention that when we upgraded to SQL that supports that we wanted to do it in 2 steps. First, the fact that you can use longs for generating the database IDs, and then the fact that we use long in the classes. Deployment plan ID. Because it's a document, so everything that is a document. Okay. Oops, and so take it. Good questions. Questions, no comments. Let's look at 1.7. I know that you can say a comment. So issues. Three that interesting. People have opened up. That's good. Changing close date. Okay, well, it's just long usage. It's great. Thank you. Three left. Customers check failure to use great change. Simply seen, and this one to reset. I'm not very concerned about these two. I would have complained, but
There's one more issue that it's probably worth talking about. I don't know if you want to wait till Thursday, but it's definitely an issue. That's multi-tenancy, that fifth one down your line. Multi-tenancy with different schema. Because now we have an option to provide a schema, but our indexes, we do not have a prefix for our indexes. So if you utilize no prefix, but a schema, you're going to have problems because the index name will collide, you know, when you have multiple tenancy.
So the indexes, they have the same name.
Correct. It's the same name. The only different is the schema.
That's bad.
Yeah, the only, you know, like you have to have a unique
you have to
index name, you know.
So does it mean that when we create the statements with an index, we also need to insert the schema? What is it? Married. The database with from schema. 3, 1, 2. As a content item will be called to the document, but the index will fail when it tries to insert the image. What? Yes, so it's adding, it's creating the index record in the wrong table. Are there actually? Yeah, I assume there will be multiple tables, but it's okay. It's such a configuration database. One the differentiable table profiles. Okay. But it's the is a constraint the issue, probably not the table. So because when I read the issue, it says
You can't have the same index name on the same database.
I understand, but if I look at the issue, and that's a first problem, but there might be a second issue here, unless they are wrong, which is the content item will be created in tenant 2 document, but the index will fail and it tries to insert it in tenant 1 index. Okay, it doesn't say that there is a conflict between the two index names, which I think there will, like Chantier says, but they also say that the index will fail as it tried to insert it in tenant 1 indexes. As if the query was targeting the table name, or maybe they don't understand that.
I think that's because a constraint. See, because when you do a constraint, it's trying to do multiple table, right? So that's why the foreign key in the constraint FK content item index.
I believe this statement is wrong. They think it was trying to insert into tenant one, but no, it's just that the constraint itself is wrong because it's because in SQL we have the test that ensures that the index is created in the correct schema. So I think this is wrong. The issue is only with the collision of the index names.
Correct. I agree with you too.
Okay, index names should contain the schema also. Ah. I don't understand that because it's definitely something to be done in the SQL side.
But the index name is something we create in Orchard in a migration. So we control the name creation,
okay,
not yes SQL. So do we need to control it ourselves, or is it something we need to, make sure that yes SQL also add a value to whatever we provide?
No. If you provide a value, you eat the value you provide.
Right. So if I tell you this is a value, you should just take my word for it, right? Yeah. And so if we do that, the problem is we would have to update all these indexes somehow without breaking anything.
There is a schema, yeah. It can be done.
If we update all the migrations, it shouldn't break existing because the migrations already ran. But for new installation, all new indexes will have the new name.
There can be a step that creates new indexes. I don't understand how we manage to create two indexes with the same name without failing. Like it should have told us, hey, the index.
Well, it doesn't. It will fail. But in the past, because we only use the prefix, right? So if you're using a prefix, I don't think it will fail. Well, no, you might be right. It should fail, even with the prefix, because we don't include the prefix. I'm gonna look at a migration. Yeah, I'm guessing that create map index table under the table under the hood, that method probably adds a value. I think that's a yes SQL thing because the table name that it creates is the name.
Where?
The ultra index table. I'm guessing that methods add something under the hood. If you just look up migrations file, just a bunch.
So
Oh, and the delicate format index name. I never looked at ES-SQL much.
maybe this is the table name. So table name is fine. Enter table. Right. The create index gets the full name. So this one should be unique.
Yeah, but I think it does. I think when we configure the connection for the database, I think we provide the prefix. So it always concat that prefix to the beginning when we use a prefix, but when we use a schema, it doesn't use that. Like it doesn't add a prefix when using a schema only. I think that might be where the trouble is. Yeah, see in YesSQL, we have in the configuration, we configure the table prefix. And anytime we have a table prefix, we prefix the table names with that value.
In this case, it's unique, that's fine. But in the case of using a schema, it's not unique. That's the issue.
Yep.
And format index.
Not sure it's a good idea, but we could define the prefix as a combination of the schema and the prefix, whatever the user provides. So it'll be tables will be nasty, but could work. I just shared a link where we set the prefix in Orchard Core if needed. We could potentially implement another logic that just adds, schema name probably.
Well, we have a table prefix and I saw the code where we use it. Yeah. That's there. In the create index, we saw that in the SQL. Index.
Yeah, but before the table is actually created, we add the prefix, which is the tenant name or whatever.
Yeah, but you see create index, when you pass an index name, it's using the table prefix also.
Correct.
So that's
the table name, not the index name.
I'm talking about
or it could be the index name. No, it could be, yeah, it is. Yes. But see, the problem is with the issue that he's having is he doesn't provide a table prefix. He provides a schema. Yeah.
I understand. And today the index name, we don't pass any prefix because SQL will do it for you using the table prefix only and not the schema. That's the issue.
Correct.
For the tables, it is doing the same thing. It's using table prefix if you pass it. And it assumes the schema when it creates a table. I'm wondering why an index. I assume I expected the index to be per schema also, but it's not the case. Or maybe a statement. Yeah, maybe that's that. So maybe when you create an index, yeah, maybe in the indexes they are cross schema. The table is not. When you create a table, you can provide a schema. And if you don't, there is a schema by default. But for an index, it's not linked to a schema. It's for table, but it has a name. And that should be unique then. Database the schema one. That's the table, but it's thing. So that's interesting that it didn't fail.
I'm suggesting that code I shared, or replace it with something similar to what I just shared. Table name will be nasty, but it will solve the problem.
No, you can't change table prefix. Because if you change table prefix, you also change table prefix for tables. So it really should be just for indexing.
Yeah, but I think you have to, because the schema, you can have multiple schema with the same table names.
Okay.
So table names will be the same, right?
So yeah, we share your code. I don't know where you want to put this code.
Which code, the one I sent?
Yeah.
I mean, it will be where we configure the connection, and yes,
So no, you can't change the table prefix globally like this, because the table prefix is a prefix for tables, and we use it today. Okay. If we change this code to now include the schema, okay, then if something was called like tenant, if the table prefix was tenant1 and the table was table1, now it will be schema1,
right,
tenant1, table1.
if it exists, if schema is used.
But yeah, but if
Correct.
I mean in this context, then you will have your statements that will be like this.
Yep.
Okay. And that's useless. We don't need to add it to a table prefix. Where we need to add it is to the index names only. So it's just when we say create index, okay, or remove index, alter index. These are the only locations where we need to actually create index and alter index that we need to inject the schema. So before, when we had IDX like index user, I don't know, it should actually be schema1. This is where it should be done. So whenever we say something like this, actually today we already do tenant1. Okay, we just need to add schema1. Then you can say it's just an index. Okay, so what will happen is that if we change the code today and we run the thing, we might just need in a migration to recall the create index with the new name. So it will create a new index with the correct name. Okay, if there is a schema. If there is no schema, then the same name will be used. And the index already exists. I assume it will do nothing because today it did nothing when we created it twice for schema1 and schema2. It didn't fail. So I assume it won't fail tomorrow if we do it for the old index. And then it will, if the schema is defined, then this name will be used. And it will create a new index with the correct name. So that will work.
So in the create index method in SQL, if schema is given, prepend that to whatever we are creating.
Mm-hmm. So, and this can be done via SQL.
Yeah.
we can what I mean by do not break today is in this example, in this issue, the user has schemas and the migration worked, even though we called for two tenants, create index with the same name because we are not prefixing by schema. And it didn't fail. So it worked by using the same name. So I should that if we use the same name, it will still work. Meaning if we call create index and people don't use the schema name, we'll try to create the same index. It should just work and do nothing. But we can check in the code in the step, like if a schema is not set, or if a schema is set, then invoke the new index. We could even then also remove the old index.
Yeah, the only issue if someone is already using schema today with the prefix, both. So everything is working perfectly fine. We make this change, it will break them because now
it will create new indexes.
Yeah, but if they create a step to alter an index, it will break them because that you mean the alter will create. So create a secondary index.
It will duplicate. We add a step that creates the index again.
Yes, what so you'll have two indexes.
Yeah. What you
mean someone will have to go manually drop one.
The old one. Yeah.
Yep.
Or we can delete the old one, but I don't think it's a good idea. We should let them delete what they need to delete if it bothers them.
Yep.
At the same time, if today they use schema, they don't have label prefix, then they have a problem. It can't work. This is the first person that tried it to use schema without label prefix because it can't work. As soon as you create two tenants, it doesn't work. Or you have a single tenant. So I mean, nobody has the problem today. So that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
index. Create index. We can't alter an index, so it's just create index. Or we can delete it index. Okay. Oh, drop index. Okay.
I think that's drop the table itself.
Drop index.
Yeah, that's the index table,
Oh.
not the index of the index table.
Oh, cute. Let's see. Yeah. So create index. Oh, that's very badly named.
Yep. So we
This
have the index table.
format index name.
And then you have the index, the SQL index that references other column on the index table.
No, I don't agree. This is really to create the index and to drop the index, not the index table, because this is done differently. There is the add
Is it
index.
the IAlter table command? Is that what
See,
you?
there is
Oh,
the
I
add
see.
index command and the drop index command. That's different.
Oh, I
Here,
see. That's on the.
in the alter table, you can create an index for this table or drop the index for this table. SQL index. I should rename it create SQL index. Drop SQL index. Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah, it's the IAlter table command. That's the interface.
Let's see, maybe someone already mentioned the issue. Say. Okay. Yeah, that's important. That won't block 1.7 and that's a big bug. Okay, anything else?
Should we Should we make that part of 1.7 or
No.
no? Okay.
An issue. Schema doesn't work. If it's ready before, it will be in 1.7, but I don't think we should block on that. It's not breaking people, it's blocking people. And there is a mitigation, which is use a table prefix also. Okay, good.
All good.
I will be there on Thursday, unless I'm sick, but I don't intend to be. Thanks, everyone.
Sounds good. Thank
See you
you.
on Thursday.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.